Okay. Well, since you're not live yet in the chat room, you're going with me to get some coffee. So here we go. We're getting the refill on our coffee, and then we're getting started. So welcome aboard, everybody that's listening on demand. Today's Sunday, Lady in the Legend, but Lenny is off to visit his daughter and have breakfast with her. Now we're back at the chair, and we will get started as soon as the sound comes through the chat room. And I would like to get this show on the road and be done with it. But we got some good stuff today, some fantasy baseball nuggets, some player news. And as always, you could catch a podcast here every single day of the week at 9 a.m. Eastern. You can find us at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com/live. And that's where you'll find our wonderful chat room with our wonderful friends and our family. Be a part of our family. You can sign up for free. We don't send spam. We don't sell your data. We don't do anything. We just like to enjoy the company of fellow baseball fanatics like us, because that's pretty much what our life is. Eddie Heckman just sent me a text telling me that he's at church, so let's see what's going on with the chat room here. And it looks like we're not through yet, but I'll just keep refreshing until we do. But also, while we're waiting to get started, of course, you can find the Happy Hour Social Club on Wednesday nights at 7:30 with King Hap. He also does a show on Tuesday and Thursday lately, so he's a busy guy. But they also have a Twitch channel at Happy Hour SC. The SC at the end stands for Social Club, so you can remember Happy Hour Social Club, Happy Hour SC. You can find the group of wonderful friends chatting over there in the Twitch app too, or you could join them here on Wednesday nights at 7:30. Welcome aboard, everybody. It's just me today. The sound is good. Let me tell the chat room, it looks like the sound is good. And James K., thanks a lot for telling everybody the sound is good. And I know this probably is annoying for on-demand people, but look, we got the goods. We talk baseball all day, every day in this household, so it's worth it, right? Everybody else has commercials. All we do is promote our great shows that we have and let you know that we have a wonderful, informed, knowledgeable fantasy baseball insider chat room. So let me go ahead and say hi to you guys. Eddie texted me and says he's at church, so enjoy your time at church, Eddie. We also have Boston Paul at the park with his coffee and breakfast sandwich, enjoying the beautiful park right on the water. Chris from Cambridge sharing birthdays with us. James K. from Wisconsin too. The Brewers fan, our Brewers insider, James K. And King Turd. And that's it. Everybody's ditched me. Yo. So let's go. I don't know how to pronounce the name that you sent this morning, Chris from Cambridge, but I'm thinking of you, dude. Thanks for coming to share the birthdays with us every day. So did I mention that Lenny went to the diner to meet his daughter for breakfast today? Just him and his daughter. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way. Let's get it started. The Phillies announced, plug your ears, Boston Paul, Trey Turner's been placed on the 10-day injured list, and it's not just going to be 10 days, okay? This is going to be 6 weeks at least with his hamstring strain. And, Trey Turner did not get off to a great start last year, and the famous fans that got together on social media and decided that they were going to cheer on their guy, and it really helped turn him around. Well, he never stopped hitting, and he went off to a good start this year. The Phillies entered the game yesterday 22-11 on the season, a half game over Atlanta for the NL East, and boy, are those Phillies fans rubbing it into the Braves fans on X. I gotta tell you, the rivalry between the Braves and the Phillies, it doesn't end. And also, the Phillies have another rivalry in the Mets. And I would say the Phillies are such an interesting group of fans, and the team is good, but the fans are so interesting, and it just seems like they fight with everybody. No offense to the Phillies fans. I like Phillies. I mean, they have the best mascot in baseball for sure. But, yeah, Turner out at least 6 weeks. Now, Cody Clemens, infielder, he was called up from AAA to take Turner's place on the active roster. That doesn't necessarily mean that he will be playing shortstop for Turner. Now, Clemens is 27 years old, and he hit 145 with a 197 on base percentage for the Tigers as a 26-year-old rookie in 2022. Last year, he spent the bulk of the first half of the season on a large side of the platoon at first base, and he batted a little better, but not very good, with a 230 batting average and a 277 on base percentage. He had a 73 weighted runs created plus, and you know the average is supposed to be about 100 for this. So below average, and then he got optioned in early July, and he never returned to the majors. And this was last year. He does good in the minors. He batted .256 with a .373 on-base percentage, 18 home runs in 62 games at AAA last year. But here's the deal. He's just not a great fantasy asset, all right? And he also plays... Last year, in the minors, he played 7 games at first, 26 games at second, 9 games at third, and 9 in the outfield. So this guy is capable of playing all over the place, but he probably only qualifies at first base because last year in the majors, he played 39 games at first base and 1 at shortstop and 1 in the outfield. So far this year, he's played 10 games at second, 3 games at third, and 5 games in the outfield in the minors, and in the majors, he's played 2 games at first base. So the guy who's actually going to take over the majority of the time at shortstop, relieving for Trey Turner, is going to be Edmundo Sosa, 28-year-old shortstop. Last year, 251 batting average, 293 on base percentage, 92 weighted runs created plus, 10 home runs and 4 steals. That was because he didn't really get a full season of at-bats. So according to RotoWire, if he ever does get full-time work, you could expect 20 homers and 10 stolen bases. So far on the season, Sosa has a 280 batting average, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. So this is the guy that's going to be taking over for Trey Turner. Also, last year, he qualifies at least at third base and shortstop with 82 games at third base and 18 at shortstop. He's also just like this other cat that we just talked about, Cody Clemens, in the fact that he plays all over the ballpark. 2024, he's played 3 games at second, 4 games at third, and 3 games at shortstop. He bats at the bottom of the order. So, look, if you got to replace Trey Turner, this guy is not going to cut it. You're going to have to find something better than this cat, or Clemens, too. So, you got Sosa and Clemens. Clemens really only just called up to take the roster spot, but I do foresee Sosa getting the majority of the time at shortstop, especially since he's great defensively. Now, Jason Foley, we have a problem. Houston, we got a problem. Good morning to Zelmo. Good morning to Timothy, my hooker. Good morning to Ro Torres. Good morning to King Hap. And good morning to Jolene. It's great to see you all in the chat room this morning. So, Jason Foley, and by the way, for those of you just joining us, Lenny is good, but he went to have breakfast with his daughter at the diner, so we are doing the show Lady and the Legend with just the lady. Jason Foley, 9 hits in his past 4 outings, and that only covers 2 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs. His velocity is down. That's why it might be a good time to go grab Alex Lang as an insurance policy if you have Jason Foley, because Jason Foley is not getting the job done. Alec Bohm. I went to look at the Phillies depth chart today. Alec Boehm is day to day. It seems like he's got some kind of injury issue that he's dealing with, but he is really doing a great job. He was responsible for 3 of the Phillies' 13 hits last night in the 9-3 win. He's got a .347 batting average. Alec Boehm is finally becoming a star. Speaking of the Phillies, let's talk about Aaron Nola to the mound yesterday. He did not start the season very good, but he has a 3-0 record, a 1.67 ERA, and 23 strikeouts in his last 4 starts. So Aaron Nola figuring it out. Nobody ever had a 4-hit game in their debut as a San Diego Padre before. Luis Arraez did it last night. He's in his first 5 Major League Baseball seasons, Luis Arraez has a .326 batting average, .427 slugging, .806 OPS. Now, Tony Gwynn, if you want to compare these two players together, Tony Gwynn in his first 5 seasons, .326 batting average, .427 slugging, and .804 OPS. It's exactly the same as Luis Arraez. So we'll see if the Padres come up with a new Mr. Padre in their new acquisition of Luis Arraez. It's really pretty sad what's going on in Miami. You know, our friend Craig Mish is the guy that you follow if you're interested in the Marlins stuff going on, and it's just a sad situation over there. The manager already come out and said we probably won't make the playoffs this year, and it's only the Cinco de Mayo, which is May 5th, for those of you who do not understand Spanish, Espanol. Okay, I'm making myself laugh, but whatever. Okay, so here's the deal. The Marlins management is already saying that they're not going to make the playoffs in the 5th day of May, which is just a travesty. And when they say to this guy that's in charge of operations over there, he looks like he's about 25 years old. He's got glasses. I mean, this guy is just, I don't know. People are not being very nice to him, so I'll be nicer to him. But I have to say, he just sounds like a nerd, really. If you think about him, he sounds like a nerd. If you listen to him, and he talks about how the reasons why they did this trade with Luis Arraez, and he goes, well, it just came on so quickly, and it was just such a good deal, we couldn't pass it up. And, you know, Luis Arraez was such a fan favorite, a clubhouse leader. Everybody loves the guy, and you know now he's gone. So it's like, what are you telling your fans basically when you do something like this, that you're not going to compete? And at least they did come out and say we probably won't make the playoffs. The Padres, on the other hand, won their season-high 4th consecutive game, 13-1 over Arizona. Season-high 18 hits, and Michael King pitched 6 shutout innings. Their new manager, Mike Shildt, you know, the one that was pissed off about them throwing at Fernando Tatis's head, he says that the Padres are looking like a serious contender. Now, yesterday, the Marlins, without their boy Luis Arraez, lost 20-4 to, guess who? The Oakland A's. All right? The entire Marlins team had 7 hits, and the Athletics, 20 runs, 10 runs in an inning. So you got 20 runs in the game, 10 runs in 1 inning, 5 multi-run home runs in the game, 1 player with 2 home runs in an inning, and 1 player with 2 home runs in a game for the first 2 career hits of his career, which is Brett Harris, and we'll talk about him in a second. But never before had all 5 of those feats occurred over an entire MLB season, let alone by one team in one game. Now, Brett Harris is 25 years old, 3rd baseman for Oakland, hit his first 2 career home runs in the same game. He went 2 for 5 with the first 2 hits and home runs of his major league career. It was his 2nd career game. He went hitless in his major league debut on Friday, but yesterday he played a big part in the rout of the Marlins. He also drew a walk and scored an additional run. He's 25 years old and should continue to see pretty regular at-bats at third base for Oakland. Now, last year, or so far this year, at AAA, he was batting .289 with a .418 on-base percentage, 3 home runs, 20 RBIs, 1 stolen base, and 16 runs scored. Now, last year, what did Brett Harris do? Among the minor leagues, 461 plate appearances, 9 home runs, 10 stolen bases, a .279 batting average, and a .383 on-base percentage. Now, you can't forget, this is in 105 games, 461 plate appearances. He still did not break double-digit home runs. He only had 9. 10 stolen bases. So, he does a little bit of both, but I don't know really what... Don't get too excited about this guy, okay? Don't go crazy adding him to your teams. Now, speaking of going crazy, let's say hello to, good morning to Jolene and the crew. Now, Big L on the prowl is here. Leonard Donaldson, good morning to you. Great to see you both, and great to see you all. Brent Rooker, the second player in A's franchise history with 2 home runs in an inning, joining Mark McGwire in 1996. Now, Brent Rooker, all right, the Oakland Athletics scored 10 runs in the 3rd inning, and Brent Rooker hit 2 home runs. He also added a single and a walk. He went 3 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. He's up to 8 home runs on the season, even though he was already on the injured list last month. He's batting .240, and he still strikes out 36% of the time, but you all knew what you were getting with Brent Rooker, a very power-hungry hitter with a bad batting average. The Twins now have won 12 straight, okay? Last night they won 3-1, and now they have their 12th straight victory. It matches the second longest winning streak in Twins history. Let's perk up in the chat room, people. What you doing? I see nothing. Am I that interesting to listen to or what? Here's the deal. Let's go. Chat it up. Are you people all sleeping still? Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. That should perk you right up, people. Okay? My singing. Lenny gets real annoyed, but he knows it makes me happy to sing, so he doesn't get too mad at me for doing it. Data Premier, good morning. I see you type it in there. Thank you for contributing. Does anybody have the mint julep hangovers? Yes, yesterday was the Kentucky Derby. Beautiful hats everywhere. Great dresses. Fun stuff. One day I'm going to go there just to get all dressed up with a hat and stuff. It sounds like a great time, and what a great race, too. I just don't watch it because there's just too much garbage going on all day waiting for it, and then it's like 2 minutes long, but you can always see good highlights afterward, and I'll tell you one thing, that was the closest race that they said in 70 years, so good job for the 150th Kentucky Derby yesterday. Okay, Mariners starters have allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 21 consecutive games, tied with the 1917 White Sox for the second longest streak in a single season since 1915. Go Mariners. We all know they have a good pitching staff. And Julio Rodriguez, he's only got 1 home run, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't checked in a couple days, but he's still stealing bases, and his batting average is great. So those of you who have Julio might be suffering a power drought, but don't worry. The hitting will get itself together. Now listen to this one about those pesky Dodgers. We have the Japanese-born players to hit the most home runs in Dodgers history. Shohei Ohtani 8 and Dave Roberts 7. Ohtani broke his own manager's home run record yesterday, and here's the thing. If Dave Roberts had been born 2 weeks earlier, he would not have been born in Japan because he was born in Okinawa, and Okinawa was an American territory until 2 weeks before Dave Roberts was born. That's why he was also born in Japan. 4 teams won by 11 or more runs yesterday, which is tied for the most on a single day since 1900. MLB history record is 5, and that happened in 1884. So yeah, 4 teams just pummeled the other guys. Longest active streaks of consecutive plate appearances without a strikeout. Steven Kwan, 72. Salvador Perez, 40. It goes from 72 to 40. So Steven Kwan holds this record by a long shot. All right, Steven Kwan, 72 consecutive plate appearances without a strikeout. Luis Arias is on the list at 38. Yesterday, Tom Murphy, the catcher for San Francisco, said he felt a pop in his knee when he was blocking the ball on a wild pitch, and he said his concern level is high. He is going to have an MRI today, according to Bob Melvin. Now, Patrick Bailey is also out right now because he has a concussion. So Tom Murphy and Patrick Bailey sideline. The Giants are down to one healthy catcher on their entire 40-man roster, and that's Blake Sabol. So Patrick Bailey should be back soon because he just has a concussion. I hope he plays. He's on my Gladiator team, so we're rooting for him to get some playing time. Mookie Betts could lead MLB in hits and runs scored. The fact that Mookie Betts could lead MLB in hits and runs scored is not surprising. But if you think about it, you have to wonder, how is it possible that he also leads the league in walks while batting in front of Shohei Ohtani? Even Andrew Friedman says that's a great question. So, yes, MLB, Mookie Betts is leading the whole baseball field in hits and runs scored, but how does he also lead in walks while he's batting in front of Ohtani? The Dodgers won for the 10th time in the past 12 games. They have outscored their opponents 78-24. 8 times in the past 12 games, their pitching has allowed 2 runs or fewer. 6 times the offense has put up 8 or more runs. 4 times they reached double digits. And let's speak a little more of those pesky Dodgers when we talk about Max Muncy, who hit 3 home runs yesterday for the first time in his career. The Dodgers scored at least 8 runs for the 6th time in their past 12 games. And you have a minor league pitcher, named Hyun-Il Choi, and that would be spelled Hyun-Il, last name Choi, Choi. He threw 6 no-hit innings last night, and also he was the AAA minor league pitcher of the year in 2021. So this guy seems to be ready to come up soon. Now we have a little tiny break in here with some Cubs news. My notes are a little out of order, but we'll just read them as we go. That's how we do things. We wing it around here. Both Cody Bellinger and Seiya Suzuki could be back next week. Okay, that's according to Craig Counsell. Cody Bellinger has an injury to his ribs, and Seiya Suzuki is suffering an oblique injury. Going back to the Dodgers, You got the manager, Dave Roberts, telling reporters that Blake Trianon is likely to be activated off the 15-day injured list prior to today's game against the Atlanta Braves. A corresponding move will be necessary to add him to the club's active roster, but he did appear in back-to-back games with AAA Oklahoma on Wednesday and Thursday, allowing one hit over 2 scoreless frames while striking out 3. His return to the Dodgers bullpen is a welcome one, as Joe Kelly is dealing with a groin injury. Okay, another veteran making progress in his rehab is future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw. He threw a 15-pitch bullpen off the mound yesterday. It was his first time throwing off a mound since he underwent shoulder surgery in the wintertime. The exact timetable for return for Kershaw is not yet known, though his stated goal of returning to the majors at some point this summer looks very feasible given the progress that he's made up to this point. He is one of 7 starting pitchers currently on the Major League injured list with the Dodgers, though the number will drop to 6 because Walker Buehler makes his season debut tomorrow. Good morning to Chris Gallo. Good morning to the chat room. Let's say hello to some new fellows. We have Mitchell is here. Now, I don't see a lot of new people, but that's okay. Big L on the prowl. Chris from Cambridge. Chris Gallo. Debbie Gallo. Data Premier. James K. King Hap. Leonard Donaldson. Mitchell. Rotorius. Timothy Hooker. Zelmo. Guest Amanda is probably a dude. It's okay. The Cardinals are set to activate outfielder Dylan Carlson from the 10-day injured list. Catcher Pedro Pages is expected to be optioned to AAA. Dylan Carlson, he's 25 years old now. He was poised to enter the season as the everyday center fielder in St. Louis until he sprained his AC joint in his left shoulder, and that sidelined him just before opening day. So in his absence, the Cardinals are 15-18, a half a game out of last place in the National League Central. So it looks like a repeat of last year for these Cardinals who are they still the best organization in baseball? I would have to say that's up for grabs at this point. Now, Dylan Carlson is not going to help this team that much. I mean, saying, here comes Dylan Carlson and, give me a break here. All right? The offense is just horrible. They have an 86 weighted runs created plus among the whole lineup, which ranks them the 6th worst in the majors. Dylan Carlson can play all 3 outfield positions, but it looks like he will be not their opening day. It looks like he will be their everyday center fielder, especially with Tommy Edman also injured. Another thing about the Cardinals is that this lefty Matt Liberatore is expected to move from the bullpen to the rotation to take the ball today against the White Sox. Now, so far, he has a record of 1-1 with a 2.76 ERA, a 1.10 whip, 10 strikeouts, but all 12 of his appearances this season have been in relief. So while he did throw 3 innings in an April 28th appearance, this day will be a bullpen game for the Cardinals. Now, it might not continue to be that way. It is possible that Liberatore earns additional starts if he pitches well. The Cardinals do need to fill the rotation spot of Steven Matz. The Cubbies, how fun are the Cubbies? And even with Bellinger out and they have issues with Kwan and all this, they're just a good team to watch. They're fun, and when Belly comes back, it's even better. You got Imanaga and one other guy that I'm telling you to start looking at now. For those of you who took my advice and drafted Justin Steele, he's getting ready to come back. So the Cubbies are 20-14. They're just 1 game back of the Brewers for the National League Central lead. Okay, that strong start has come in spite of their injuries with Justin Steele, who was pulled from his opening day start against the Rangers due to a hamstring strain and has not taken the mound in the big leagues since. Also, I said Stephen Kwan. I meant Cody Bellinger and Seiya Suzuki to rib and oblique injuries, all right? But fortunately for Chicago Cubbies, it appears that all of these guys are about ready to return to action. Manager Craig Counsell told reporters yesterday that both Suzuki and Bellinger could be back in action sometime next week, and Steele is slated to be activated from the injured list tomorrow. So it says that Justin Steele will start on Monday against the Padres as long as he got through a bullpen session on Saturday with no issues, which he did. His one rehab start was not great. He allowed 3 runs, 6 hits over 3 1/3 innings, but he feels good. And he's put his hamstring injury in the rearview mirror, which is the most important thing. So he threw 63 pitches in his rehab outing on Wednesday, and they say that he will be somewhat limited from a workload perspective tomorrow. But we hope to see him, as the starter tomorrow against the Padres. Speaking of starting pitchers, you got Alek Manoah. Yes, so Leonard Donaldson brings up that Steele will be back on Monday. Buehler and Braxton Garrett will as well. And Stephen Kwan, 353 batting average, 28 runs scored. He says he'll take that in Roto. That's Leonard Donaldson. All right, it looks like you kids are waking up. I'm glad to hear it. Let me have a sip of my coffee. All right, Alek Manoah, you ready to talk about him? Yes, he might make your stomach upset. But he's set to make his return to the majors today as the Blue Jays will officially activate Alek Manoah from the 15-day injured list. He will start against the Nationals in his season debut. Now, I'm sure all of you can recall that he hasn't pitched in the majors since last August 10th. When he allowed 4 runs in 4 innings. He was optioned to AAA the next day, which was the second time that he was optioned to AAA last season, and you could use the term disaster to describe Alek Manoah and last season, but you could use the term disaster to describe Alek Manoah overall, because that's what he is, a total and complete disaster. Speaking of disaster, but not a disaster, it's Joey Adell, who's not a disaster. Even though yesterday he went 0 for 2, he still took a walk, he scored a run, and he stole a base. So, he has been quite aggressive on the base path. Listen to this interesting tidbit. He's already set a career-high 6 stolen bases for the season, all right, already. And he's been caught 5 times. I don't know how many times they're going to continue to let him run. He's stolen 6 bases and he's been caught 5 times. That means he's tried to steal 11 bases this season and he only has been successful in a little more than half. James K. I didn't have enough time to look at your question, but why don't you paste in the question that you asked earlier and give the chat room a little more context about you thinking about dropping Gabriel Moreno. What I do remember is that it's only a 1-catcher league. So, with these 1-catcher leagues, you could drop, pick up, drop, stream. I mean, literally, you could stream catchers if you wanted to. It's kind of like in football where you stream the kicker or the defense. You really could stream catchers in a 1-catcher league. That means you don't ever have to spend too much time thinking about whether or not you should drop a catcher. If a catcher is hot, pick him up. Drop your catcher. Gabriel Moreno, if he's not cutting it, go pick up the catcher that is cutting it. It's a temporary position. Like I said, I compared it to the kicker or the defense in football. There's always one available, and you might want to learn how to stream them, especially in these 1-catcher leagues. You shouldn't spend a lot of time wondering about whether or not to drop your catcher. Unless it's somebody excellent, like Will Smith or something. Okay, with Mike Trout set to miss extended time, Joey Adele should get the opportunity to start in the outfield on a near everyday basis. He's hitting .265 with a .320 on-base percentage, 4 home runs, 11 RBI, and 12 runs through 75 plate appearances. We're almost done. I don't have a long show today, but it is very nice to spend Sunday morning with all of you. We really appreciate you coming by and saying hello and talking baseball, even though you all are sleeping today. Let me wake you up with a tidbit for Trevor Bauer. Final line for Trevor Bauer yesterday, 6-inning pitch, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts, and another win. This guy is pitching in 7,500 feet elevation, which is super hard because the oxygen just is not there. It's exhausting. His ERA is 1.96 on the season, and this comes from his agent, Rachel Luba, who I really think he should just get married to immediately and start his life over. Okay, that's my opinion. I love that he is pitching well. I'm telling you, this guy has more grit and resilience than anybody in the world. This is one of the things that I loved about him from the minute I saw him. It's that he came out with his own unique thing. He did his own unique warm-up with his flexible workout regimen that he does, and everybody teased him. The media hated him. He just never let it get him down. He has done nothing but stand up for his innocence since this whole thing started. And whether or not you believe he's an asshole, that's fine. He probably is kind of an asshole. He seems to be very full of himself. I probably wouldn't even enjoy sitting down for a beer with this guy, but I just appreciate that he's not giving up on it, and he's never changed his story, and it's being proven in court little by little. The MLB has totally blackballed him. That's fine. He's doing good still, and he hasn't given up his love and his passion for pitching, and that's what he's doing every day. So, hello, if you're listening, would you please just marry Rachel Luba? Bye now. You two are best friends anyway. Spend the rest of your life making babies and pitching for Mexico, Japan, and wherever your little heart takes you. Amen. All right. Yes, James K. talking about Wong D'Arnaud. That D'Arnaud's been pretty hot so far. Leonard Donaldson says, "Oh, Hoppy, if he's available," or "Oh, Hop." Where are you, turd? I don't see you talking today. You must be busy with your kiddos. Orelvis Martinez, 22-year-old shortstop for the Toronto Blue Jays. From May 10th on last season, Orelvis Martinez hit .276 with a .374 on-base percentage, 24 homers, 13.6% walk percentage, and a 23.6% strikeout percentage through 103 games between AA and AAA. Now, this guy is on my Gladiator team, so I certainly hope he gets a call-up as well. Last year, he played 26 games at second base, 36 games at third base, and 43 games at shortstop. So far this season, he's played solely at second base with 1 game at third. And so he hasn't been called up yet, but his best chance of getting the call-up, since he has been excellent so far this season, down at Buffalo AAA in 28 games and 114 at-bats. He has 28 runs scored, 8 home runs, 23 RBIs, and a .280 batting average. He doesn't steal bases, and he is only 22 years old. But I am really hoping, for my own sake, that this kid does get a call-up, and his best opportunity for playing time looks to be at second base, where Cavan Biggio sits. Like I mentioned, he also plays third base and shortstop, but you got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at third base and Bo Bichette at shortstop. So those 2 spots are taken. Orelvis Martinez's only path to playing time would be at second base. That's all I got. Everybody, love you. Thanks for coming. And Lenny's he'll be back tomorrow. He's with his daughter Rachel at the Blue Bay Diner having breakfast, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great Sunday, everybody. And don't forget to make your fab bids tonight. If you need some help figuring out who to target, you could go ahead and listen to Saturday Fantasy Baseball on demand. and have a great day.